So you're thinking about running, but not sure how to take the first step. My name is Brian Patterson, and I'm here to help. Welcome to Brian's Run Pod. Hey there, folks. Welcome to Brian's Run Pod. Today, we're diving into the story of Travis Ireland, an ultramarathoner and the brain behind the Run the World app. A mutual friend, Andrew Doney, got us together. But Travis has been passionate about running for years and is participating in various ultramarathons. Notably, he finished 86th in the Blackhall Hundreds 21k event in 2023. In 2014, Travis launched the Run the World, an app designed to keep runners motivated by tracking their progress on interactive maps across different countries. You can choose a virtual run around the places like Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Ireland, the USA, Europe, or Canada. The app offers a unique way to set goals and stay engaged with your running journey. Beyond running, Travis has been open about his personal challenges, including overcoming gambling addiction. He credits running and the creation of Run the World as pivotal in his journey towards a healthier lifestyle. Travis' story is a testament to how passion and perseverance can lead to the personal transformation and inspire others in the running community. Reflecting on his journey, Travis shared, "Running has been my therapy, helping me overcome personal challenges and connecting with the community that shares my passion." So without further ado, let's welcome Travis to the podcast. Everyone gets that, so I thought you might like that.
Oh, fantastic. I feel very special. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. What I like to do with most people is just like to go right to the beginning, maybe back at school and seeing whether you were a natural athlete, someone who took to running, or were you kind of into your books, or did you kind of shy away from exercise?
No, I was a self-confessed exercise addict from an early age. So I played every sport that I could. I'm from a small country town in the south coast of New South Wales, and there wasn't much else to do, to be honest, back in the 70s and 80s when I was a kid. So sport was my go-to. Cricket, soccer, tennis, AFL, rugby league when I was a young kid. I tried everything, and running was definitely part of that as well. It was seasonal, so I'd surf in the summer, run in the winters, and always been a part of my life. As far as I can remember, I've run.
Right.
Cross country at school, races around my friends. I've always run.
Oh, right. Okay. So I remember when I was in Australia in 88, which was the Expo, and I remember being rugby league, and I suppose rugby league is still very much a big thing in Australia. Was that something that you participate a lot in when you were at school?
So rugby league for me was a very short-lived.
Oh, right.
My parents were both from Victoria.
Yeah.
And Victoria is AFL.
AFL, that's right, yeah.
Yep. So being from Victoria, even though I lived in New South Wales, they were AFL related. So they created an AFL club, and that's pretty much the sport I played from a young kid, and also soccer, or football, call it, but with soccer.
Yeah.
And I have a funny story about the rugby league. My dad put me in to play rugby league in under 8s, and I was only 5, and I apparently got rather beaten up being a small kid, and cried and said I didn't want to play that game anymore.
All right.
So I went to soccer and tennis and other things. So my rugby league was short-lived.
All right. So when you got into your teens, was running and exercise still very much part of your life?
Yeah. I think as I got older, running became more constant. So sports came and went seasonally, but running became constant. And I vividly remember every year looking forward to cross country. And that was our school-based event where I was rather competitive and I tried to get as far as I could. So over here we have a school cross country, and if you come in the top 5 or 10, you move to regionals, then districts, and then state, and then national.
Right.
I never made it to national, but I did make it to state once.
Yeah.
And that was always my passion. I used to wait for cross country. I never had a coach. I didn't have a training program, but I do remember train for it.
Yeah.
And looking forward to it every year. And it got a bit more competitive the older I got. And I guess I got a bit better as well as.
All right. Okay. What was the attraction to cross country compared to, let's say, road running or doing marathons, that kind of thing?
Yep. So back in those days, particularly where I was from, there wasn't even a fun run in my town. Or I didn't even know what a fun run was really until I hit my probably 20. So cross country was pretty much it. A bit of track and field. So we had that at school as well. But I didn't even know what a marathon was, to be honest.
Oh, right.
And the cross country, what appealed to me was I had a core bunch of really good mates, and we were all semi-competitive runners. And our goal as a bunch of 5 friends was to see if we could make it as far as we could together.
Yeah.
And the camaraderie is what I love. So we'd come first, second, third, fourth, fifth at school. Yeah. Then we go to the next level, and we try and all make the team to go to the next level and then to the next level. And I remember one year, year 10, so I was maybe 16, all 5 of us made it to the state. So that's what was probably appealed to me more than my own personal, the fact that the 5 of us made it there and we did it together. Yeah. And that's what I loved about the cross-country scene and running scene early on for me.
Yeah. So were you quite, competitive, between the 5 of you in terms of your friends?
Yes. Yeah. So one of the guys, Lee Tracy, he was the best. He made it to nationals. He came second in Australia.
All right.
And the rest of us were very similar, but we were competitive, and I wanted to beat them. There's no question about that. And that was what drove me. I am competitive, and that shone early on in my younger days.
So did you go to, after school, did you go to university, or, did you go straight into the workplace?
I went to university. I did 3 years in university.
Yeah.
And I moved interstate. So I moved from where I was in New South Wales. I moved back to Victoria to go to university and continued to play a bit of footy, but took up triathlon, still ran.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say my university years were probably the least active I was for those 3 years I was in uni. And that was me being an 18 to 20-year-old moving out of home.
Yes.
My priorities weren't always running.
Yes, I see what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think, I mean, Australia and places like, South Africa and, because you've got, pretty much the weather, and also there's kind of this big push, isn't there, for being outdoors and kind of that attraction of doing exercise and sporting excellence. When you were growing up, was that, quite resonant? Were you caught up in that, or do you think that came later on?
Let's take a quick break.
Hi, Brian and Brian's Runboard listeners. I'm Merrily, author of Just Run. Just Run is the perfect gift for every runner or anyone thinking about starting running in 2025. In my book, I share my journey from barely hitting 3,000 steps a day to becoming an ultra runner in just a few years. A few months ago, I completed my first 100-mile race. Just Run is packed with practical tips for beginner runners. Running is for everyone. You don't have to be fast to go far. You just need to run your own way. That's what Just Run is all about. You can grab your copy on Amazon, including on Kindle Unlimited, or get a signed copy from my website, merrilyruns.co.uk. Feel free to reach out to me on my website or through my socials at merrilyruns.
Hey, this is Andrea, popping up from Sydney, Australia to say hello and to thank Brian for creating a forum which is so beneficial for those of us who are seeking a richer experience of running. If you're like me, you probably run for a host of reasons. These might include time alone, mental health, personal accomplishments, or maybe reclaiming a sense of self, possibly for the first time in a long time. And you might have noticed that the narrative around running is also changing. Until recent years, you probably mostly heard it talked about through the lens of metrics. Things like getting faster, getting stronger, getting thinner, getting better, getting a spot on the podium. But thanks to voices like Brian's, more and more we're starting to think about running as a means to becoming a better person, to enjoying the morning, to achieving a fundraising goal, or maybe just making yourself proud. And if that sounds like you and you're interested in getting some coaching support for whatever your running journey looks like, I invite you to take a look at Run with the Slow Coach. I host a global coaching community for older, slower, bigger, injured, and back-of-the-pack runners. I'm fully accredited through Athletics Australia. I'm endorsed by the Australian Trail and Ultra Runners Association. And in 2023, I won a local business award for the most outstanding fitness service. I coach online and I promise to keep you accountable because I know what it takes to start a running journey, especially if you're not talented or you haven't been active your whole life. And I believe that runners like us deserve all the science, all the rigor, all the empathy, and especially all the support to safely progress to whatever your finish line looks like. And I'm really here for that. So find out more by following me on socials at Run with the Slow Coach or visit runwiththeslowcoach.com. I really am passionate about the life-changing benefits of being active. And I'm grateful to Brian for everything he does in this space. And now, back to you. Thanks so much.
No, you're 100% right. Most definitely, it was encouraged for us to get out every day, not just at school, but family, friends. It was very much encouraged. And you are right. We have, even though I was down the southern part of Australia, where it does get not UK cold, but it gets cold, we were still encouraged to go out and be active every day. I don't remember a day where I not encouraged to get out the door. And I still remember my PE teachers and my English teacher and my science teacher were also on my soccer team. One was my cricket coach.
Yeah.
And the entire population, unless you were into music or something else, but most people were encouraged to get out every day.
Right.
And I'm a 70s and 80s kid, so obviously we didn't have the computers and the other options, and riding my bike to see a mate, running to see a mate was a part of that as well.
Yeah.
Part of my life.
Yeah. I mean, I know, I think I was talking to this with my wife the other day, is that sometimes, then like even go to the shops when you were young and then sort of thing, you'd run to the shops or something, but it was just you're always there to be quite active. Was there anyone at school, like a teacher, who kind of inspired you to do exercise? I know there was someone for me.
Yeah, definitely Mr. Fogg. I remember his name.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Mr. Fogg. He was probably the one person, not just me physically and personally. He also was my careers advisor. So I did at university a course called Human Movement or Exercise Science.
Right.
And he worked really hard with me individually to get me into that course, which is why I moved into state. I didn't quite have the brain power for the course.
Yeah.
At a lot of universities, but he found one that accepted me and got me in there. And he was also on my soccer team. So as I said, I was from a small town, so we played soccer when I got older in Open, and we were playing with our teachers for a lot of them. And Foggy was pretty prominent in my school career, getting me out and being really. I just remember him being really positive.
Yeah. And
there was also I almost forgot about it, a gentleman called Mr. Percival. Right. He would come down. He wasn't a teacher. He wasn't anyone. He would come down to our school, and we had a Percival Cup for soccer. And he used to pull me aside at times, and a guy I didn't even really know, and just encourage me. Mum and Dad kicked me out and encouraged me as well. So it came from a lot of angles. But to answer your question, it's definitely Mr. Foggy when I played soccer, and Mr. Fogg at school.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was a basketball teacher, because we were, and he really encouraged the school to, because he played basketball at a national level, and he played for England at under 16. But I think, because I don't know if it was the same for you, Mr. Foggy, he was quite passionate about his sport, and that helps to kind of come across to the kids, and he would do basketball training at lunchtime and that kind of thing. And we became really good. I mean, at different levels. So, and I think that always really helps.
Definitely.
Yeah. I know you've talked openly about your gambling addiction, if you're happy to talk about that.
Yep.
And I know in listening to sort of previous podcasts, was that something that, I mean, obviously you said you were very good at, you took to running and took to exercise at an early age and even through to your, to university. But did that happen, that addiction happen sort of after you left university, or wasn't it not until later on?
It wasn't until later on. It wasn't until I was an adult.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I know why. I know how. I know everything as to what caused it, and there's no coincidence that running wasn't a part of my life when I was gambling. Yeah, it was completely gone, and no coincidence that I was the unhappiest. I formed an addiction. So I think I probably made it clear in the podcast, I'm a bit competitive, and without blowing my own trumpet, I had luck and success throughout most of my life. So I was successful in running, successful in getting to uni. I moved, I got a job straight away. I became successful. I set up a company, a corporate team building company, and everything was successful. I was a lucky man, and things were just going well. And then I had a $1,000 bet on my 30th birthday, and I was a casual punter. Yeah. On my 30th birthday, and I distinctly remember losing. And if I fast forward to when I'd gone into rehab for my gambling, that was the one point that I discovered that I became a gambler, because I had this vision of everyone laughing at me and everyone saying, "Oh, right, loser, you've lost $1,000, you're hopeless." And I've done a lot of delving into this and had some therapy on it. And it was that moment that I thought, I'm not a loser, I'm successful at everything else. I'm going to prove everyone wrong. And I show them I can gamble. And that was the start of my spiral. And if anyone's listening, I don't know anyone that wins on the gambling. I don't know who I was trying to kid, but I thought I could beat the system. I thought I could do it. And I then created an addiction, which was stemmed from me being competitive and me showing people that I could do it. I had Excel spreadsheets. I had plans for become a millionaire out of it, etc. And then as I lost and spiraled more, it then became not about that. It became about the addiction and the rush of losing, effects for that, and the chasing of it, and the thrill of winning. Yeah. Oh, right. All combined with that. And it was all at a period in my life where I just met my wife. I started a young family. Yeah.
We see. So that you had that going on as well. Yeah. At the beginning.
Yeah. So that was my 30th birthday. I think I got married when I was 32, had my first kid when I was 33. So I was gambling then. And then I had two more kids when I was 35 and 36. Yeah. And I gambled through all of that. Yeah. I had a successful company, and I had a lot going on, and all of that going on, I didn't run, and no coincidence, that perfect storm.
Yeah. So do you think So do you think it was that you had this kind of streak of, anything I touch basically can turn to gold sort of thing, and then you thought that, gambling, although you had this minor blip that you lost $1,000 on a race or something like that, then you thought, you could be successful at that.
100%. I had no doubt in my mind that I could win this gambling. I had my future planned based around the money I was going to make from gambling. I was that confident in my ability, and going back to it, without this cocky. I'd just been successful and things hadn't gone wrong for me. I'd never been sacked.
Yeah.
Things were just going well, and I just thought I could.
Yeah.
It just got out of control, and the more I lost, the more I believed I could win again.
Yeah.
And then the bets became a lot bigger, a lot larger. The stakes became, I was starting to bet mortgages and houses.
Really?
Yeah, I spent my entire super fund. I delved into savings and hid all of this from my ex-wife, now my wife at the time.
Right. Okay.
It went from $1,000, which back then was a lot of money, to a lot more than that, where $1,000 was a ocean.
Wow. So that was pretty serious. Yeah. So I was going to ask that the kind of the secrecy about that, because obviously it's not just about the gambling, but also you hiding it from other people. Was that difficult?
No. I don't know how I did it now, but it was really easy. Not one person knew. So, I mean, I'm talking, I had bank accounts with a wife that I'd been married to for 15 years,
right.
And I hid it from her. I hid it from my mum and dad. None of my mates knew. I would go to the pub and have a few beers and have a casual bet with friends, put in $20 and we'd all laugh, and that was great.
Yeah.
And at the same time, look down at my phone and put a $10,000 bet on.
Oh my gosh.
Racing in an hour at the same time.
Yeah.
And then if it won, I was the life of the party. I was this guy that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And if I lost, the guys just thought I was having a bad day. And the same with my ex-wife. I'd come home, and depending on what had happened,
right,
I was either a good, happy guy, or I was a
not very nice,
grumpy old man, depending on what happened. And I could just hide that with excuses. Work was tough today, leave me alone, or work was great today, or whatever. You can hide it. So gambling's different. There's obviously no effects like drugs and alcohol. You know, I just had mood things, and hide everything. And I don't know how I did it. So I sit here now and think, how the hell did I do that?
Yeah. So it's like an alter, someone else, you know.
Yep. I don't know how I did it. Like right now, I can't imagine how I could hide.
Yeah.
The hundreds of thousands of dollars I lost.
Yeah.
And houses and mortgages. The one person that did get onto me was the tax man, so I actually illegally took my super fund out, and so they found out about it.
Right, right.
But yeah, for everyone else I hid it from, and I don't know how I did it, but I managed. And I never once worried about it. I never thought someone was going to catch me. Again, I thought I was invincible.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I came clean that people found out.
Oh, right. And talking to other, I mean, I'm assuming you have talked to other addicts. And do they have a kind of very similar story in terms of how, you know, hiding it, you know, be it not just gambling, but, you know, drugs, alcohol, that kind of thing? Is it a very similar type of story, or?
No, I found it quite different. So I went to Gamblers Anonymous immediately. So the day I came clean, I went to Gamblers immediately, and I did that for a long time with just gamblers, and our stories were exactly the same. We had the ability to cheat and lie, and we could compare our stories, how we did it, with separate bank accounts and ways. And my rehab I went to, I was in with drug and alcohol addicts as well, and theirs was a completely different. They had so much more support and people that knew about it. So I went into rehab telling my story of doing this alone. No one knew I gambled, whereas a drug and alcohol addicts, people knew because they were cracks on their arms, or they were drunk, or they could smell it.
Yeah.
They had people constantly saying, hey, you need help, you need this, and a support network, which they brushed away and they fought off. So it was really different stories when I went to rehab with drug and alcohol addicts. We had different paths.
Mm-hmm.
I had no support and no one to push away because I did it all myself. I was secretly doing it. And I don't know what's worse, to be honest. I felt that they had it worse because they lost a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Tried to help them. Whereas mine, no one knew. So I didn't brush it off until I came clean. And
what made you stop?
I physically had no more money left.
Really?
I remember the day. It's clear to me as any day of my life.
Mm.
Here is me as an hour ago. I was at the Gold Coast Marathon, and it was a morning of the Gold Coast Marathon, and I was in a VIP tent, so I sponsored a bit of the event, and I was there. Yeah. And I went to put a bet on. I was betting 24 hours a day. I went to put a bet on, and my betting account had a red line, and it said no more funds. Right. And then I just knew at that point that I'd exhausted. I had investment properties that had gone, mortgage had gone, super had gone, bank balances would go, and I physically had no more money left. I had no option. And I looked at the drinks till in the marathon.
Oh, I see.
And my head said, you could rob that and get some money. And that was the light bulb. I thought, I'm not that. I'm not a thief. I'm not that. And it really hit me hard that I thought about robbing that till to fund a bet. So I walked away, and that's the moment I knew that I have not gambled since that moment.
So was it the next day you said, I need help? Or did you...
That night.
That night? Really?
That night.
Oh, wow.
I went out and, proud to say this, but I went out and got drunk.
Yeah.
I remember my friend buying me drinks because I had no money left. And I went home thinking that if I was drunk, I could tell my wife at the time easier. I went home and told her everything. A small story is just prior to this, back in October.
Yeah.
So 7 or 8 months earlier, I had come clean and said I had a problem, but not to the extent the problem was. And we brushed over that back in October. So then I came July 2013, I came and said, this is a lot more serious than you think. This is the situation. I remember waking her up. She was asleep and I came home drunk, and I told her, and pretty much the hardest conversation I've ever had. And
yeah.
Gamblers Anonymous the next day.
Gamblers
Anonymous. It took me a little while to go to rehab.
Yeah.
I did Gamblers Anonymous for a while. I realised that I needed more, so I often rehab a bit later. But yeah, it was that night. I'm clean. I'm a little bit lucky that we still had a roof over our head.
Right.
I didn't lose our house. I lost other houses, but not our house. So whilst it was bad, I still wake up in the morning knowing that if I did some more work next week, I could pay the mortgage.
Yeah.
Be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow. I mean, that's an amazing, inspiring story. And I know you've kind of talked about it in other podcasts or whatever. I'm sure you'll agree that this is an incredibly inspiring story, from his success in high school cross-country running to how a $1,000 bet led him to gambling. Travis's journey is truly remarkable. And guess what? We're not done with him yet. Next week, we'll be sharing the second part of his story. As this is a running podcast, we'll dive deep into his running journey and explore how he created the incredible virtual running app called Run the World. Trust me, it's worth listening to. So until next week, take care and stay tuned. And that's a wrap for another exhilarating episode of Brian's Run Pod. Thanks for tuning in, folks. As always, we've got you back with all things running. And next week, get ready for some more awesome beginner hints and tips to kickstart your running journey. Don't forget, you can now send me a message. Yep, you heard it right. Brian's Run Pod has now become interactive with the audience. If you look at the top of the episode description, tap on Send Us a Text Message. You can now tell me what you think of the episode, or alternatively, what you would like covered. If you're lucky, I might even read them out on the podcast. Hey, if you want to keep up with all the latest updates, behind the scenes fun, and even some exclusive content, make sure to follow me on social media. We've also launched a shiny new Facebook page. Just simply search for Brian's Run Pod and give us a like. And don't forget to hop over to Instagram, where you can catch all our visual adventures at Brian's Run Pod. For those of you who love diving deep into the episodes, head over to our website, www.briansrunpod.co.uk, and there you'll find some detailed show notes and handy chapter markers, making it easy to navigate through your favourite discussions. Please leave a review, as it will help others find this podcast. Music is by Happy Day by Stock Audio, not forgetting artwork by Alice Patterson, and also thank you to my producer, Anna Patterson. So till next week, thanks again for listening.